Alright, so today, forewarning for everybody, if you're arachnophobe, you might want to go away. I know that's a horrible thing to say, but today I am painting 3 very small, very adorable little spiders. Depending on who you are, you probably are not going to agree with that statement. One thing I really like about these guys is they did come with like little bases. I'm not sure how well the camera, there we go, sort of. They're little mummies, like they're actually wrapped in silk-like stuff, so that'll be a lot of fun to get going. My lighting's a little poop, but... So, first thing we want to do is, a lot of them have little lines from the plastic mold from when they were being made, so there's like little slivers of plastic on them. So what I like to do, and kind of what was taught to me, is to come in with an X-Acto blade and just kind of smooth it over to kind of get some of that seam out of the plastic. That way the finished product doesn't have odd little seams in weird places. And these little spider guys have a ton of seams. So we're just gonna gently scrape on it. And like, it doesn't have to be perfect, and you really don't want to get too hard on it. Because I mean, the harder you get, the more actual like plastic you're gonna take off. And one thing I love about getting pre-made miniatures is a lot of them already come primed. So you don't have to worry about spraying primer on it and worrying about any of like dripping from the spray paint or spray primer. And most of the time when I do miniatures, I do wear gloves, but it makes it really hard to wear gloves and get these teeny tiny little pieces of plastic off. But one thing that's kind of cool about the spiders is even if I don't get all of the plastic off, it can still kind of go with what the spider is. Considering there can be hairs on spiders, there can be like little seams and weirdness. And this might be my way of enjoying a little bit of Halloween something before we actually get there. Considering Halloween's my favorite. Like, I try really hard not to get too deep into the plastic, because it's really easy to take off more than you intended. Another reason I don't wear gloves during this stage is it lets me kind of scratch without having the X-Acto blade of doom, because the X-Acto blade will take off way more than a fingernail. There's a stubborn knot on this joint. Another thing you can do is using like jewelry files. You can also do some of that with those. I've never really enjoyed doing that, considering I always end up with like a little file spot that it's very clear that there was plastic that got shredded by a file. So I'm not overly fond of doing the actual shaving that way. But there's always some scenarios that you don't really get to be picky like that. The mandibles. This is actually the first time I've tried a spider this long. I've done spiders in the past for my brother-in-law, and seeing them in a D&D campaign was adorable and yet terrifying at the same time. Considering it then was like, if I do a painting for miniatures, am I going to see them in the campaign? Because that could be terrifying. But it was a lot of fun. My poor character was completely traumatized by the end of it. The back of this one does have some hair, so I'm not too worried about the seam. I just don't want it to be in a very abrupt plastic seam. So I'm fine with it being there as long as it kind of blends with the hair. Like, I keep coming back to the legs because that's where it's really the most obvious. And if anybody's wondering, yes, I have cut my fingers doing this. Like, not this time, but actually just when I'm doing miniatures, I have definitely cut my fingers. When I very first started, I tried cleaning the plastic off of the little blade by wiping it on my pants. My pants did not survive, and I am very lucky that I did not slice the crud out of my leg. But it was a good laughing and learning point. Gotta be able to find humor in your mistakes. And since these are so small, they should go fairly quickly. They're going to have similar patterning to each other, just different colors. So I'm going to do a blue, a green, and a red once we get there. I don't speed up my videos, so you guys get to kind of watch in real time recorded time. Let's get spider number 2. And they're all going to have a decent amount of black, and the big thing about black is I'm going to want to do that part last. That way the colors will actually be vibrant, otherwise I'm going to have to do like 50 layers on top of a black to try and actually have a color be seen. If you're going to put the effort to put a color in, you want it to be seen. And the mandibles I'm actually going to leave with the little plastic seams, considering it just makes them look that much more kind of mean. I don't know. I think a spider should have some pretty aggressive fangs. And real spiders I am actually kind of scared of. Like, I am fine with them as long as they keep their distance. It's one of those, you can live in my house, but do not touch me, ever. Like, as soon as they touch me, that's the end of the sentence there. I will say I find the trend of the jumping spiders becoming pets is kind of adorable. I think they're a lot cuter than tarantulas, at the very least. Despite this having a very sharp edge on it, I actually feel pretty okay using it. There are times that I definitely shouldn't be wielding one. I'm not sure if you've been able to notice, but my hands do shake a little bit, and there's days that the shaking's a little bit better, and there's shakings that it's a little bit worse. And something I learned about spiders is the very tip of their little legs is called a paw, and they have two little prongs at the end of it that are actually kind of cute. So this guy actually has a little bit of one on one of his legs that I'm kind of wanting to leave there, considering it is a little bit of a practical thing for a spider to have. But I always kind of like doing, this is actually a part that I find pretty important. As well as to get rid of the plastic, it gives you an understanding of how you're going to have to handle it as you're painting it, considering you have to get to weird places to make sure you get the plastic out. And if you're having to get to the weird spots to actually actively take out things, when you go through with the paint, it'll be easier to understand how you're going to have to hold the brush and where your hands are going to have to be, all that fun stuff. This guy had a little bit less than his friend. And this one has fur on its abdomen as well. It's kind of just a matter of breaking up that resin seam. Last spiders I did during that campaign, my character, who's a trickster arcane rogue tiefling, basically got snatched up in a web of them and was forced to kind of go insane. And that was actually what changed him to want to be good instead of chaotic evil. But nobody believed him, considering he was definitely an evil bastard. Alright, let's get on to the third. Or wait. Gotta love when you put something down, you think you're done with it, and then you clearly see a spot that was missed. I think the knees have been the hardest part. So this one has such a defined plastic mark on its knees. I think I'm going to leave those ones to avoid from taking off too much plastic trying to correct something that could very well be an actual design pattern. I just realized I almost cut my thumb. Ha 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 ha. As I keep bumping things with my elbows. I feel like my music got just a little loud. Just a little. It always surprises me when I find like a spot that looks like 100% okay and I don't have to run over it with the blade. It happens very, very rarely, but every time it does I get kind of happy. I'm trying to be a responsible adult and not have it going at my fingers, but sometimes that's honestly the best angle. I have a tendency of overcorrecting sometimes, so it's really important to kind of keep in mind if you do too much, you end up ruining it. Oof, these back ones. Like, one thing I'm actively concerned on the legs is if I do it too much or too hard, I might actually lose a leg. Because they are pretty easy to move around. Nope, I am off the screen. My bad. Move the camera closer to me, that way I can actually get up close and not leave you guys out. This one's mandibles are just kind of wonky as hell, so I am going to take off some of the plastic off of them. I think my blade needs to be sharpened. Sharpened or replaced. Alright, now to break up the seam on the abdomen, which on this one isn't that bad. Actually, I can barely tell on it. Main spot is its butt. I am still off camera. I am so sorry. Alright. So I'm going to quickly do their little bases, that way I don't have to worry about them later. Which is just really taking off the sharp edgeness of the outside of it. Oh, it even has like weapons in there. Oh, that's adorable. Considering the sizes of the skulls and stuff, I'm pretty sure these are supposed to be absolutely ginormous spiders. Like, only 2 bases came with these 3 spiders, meaning the third one is the odd man out that will get his own created for him, or it. They're all going to be extremely vibrant in colors, so. If we're going off of Black Widow logic, they're all female. Okay, so all of the shaving is done. Let me put my X-Acto blade away. And going to do a really quick dusting of the, get the extra plastic off. Alrighty, so I think we're going to start. Let's start with the green. So to kind of get the green going, I do want it to be a really light green that's kind of metallic. So what I'm going to be using is I'm going to be using this really bright kind of top coat green after laying down some of the emerald green that's here. And I'm going to mix a little bit of the pearl white in it. And then once we get those down, I'm going to go through with a black and kind of do the rest of the spider that way. And I think we're picking this guy for it. I swear what I'm doing is not nearly as bad as it sounds. I swear. Like, I love this emerald green. It's one of my favorite greens that I actually have. And of course my white is clogged. So for declogging, I just use a straight pin, and I just stick it in all the way down, kind of move it around a little bit to make sure that there's a decent amount of flow that can be had. Sorry, these dry up pretty quick. This is also why I use shop towels for everything around, is it makes it really easy to kind of clean up the excess stuff without being all over the place. Since this is mostly a base coat, I'm not too terribly worried about fine details, so I'm going to be using a bit of a square brush. It'll probably actually look a little bit better like this. So it's fairly big for what we're doing, but at the same time, I'm not looking for extreme precision right now. I am going to put on my gloves. That way I don't get all sorts of paint all over myself. Alrighty. So what I did is I just mixed a little bit of the white and green, but I didn't like full on mix it. I kind of like getting streaks of lighter color with the darker without having to force it. So it kind of gives a multi-layered color without taking away from the other. I really like how it's kind of coming out as a metallic mint. It's really pretty. I'm not sure if it's translating well through the webcam, but I am finding it absolutely gloriously beautiful. Things you think you'll never say about a spider. I'm starting on the abdomen, considering that's where a lot of the color is held with spiders, that and the knees. Now I'm going to try and hold it by its legs, that way I don't mess up the paint that's drying on the abdomen. I honestly like having a little bit of a larger brush for doing the legs and stuff, because the brush will actually wrap around the leg a little bit and cover a little bit more at once than if I was doing it with a super, super fine brush. I am fairly aggressive to my brushes, so if you see me squishing it around, that's a part of how I do things. So I do like how the legs came out a little bit darker. So I'm probably going to try to intentionally do that on the other side. And like these paints dry pretty quick, so once it's dry, you can hold it by the abdomen and not have to worry about too much paint coming off, as long as you didn't do it too thick. My paints are getting sticky, which means it's time to add a little bit of water to them. So you want to still be able to move it freely without having to kind of abuse your paint to get it to hold. One thing I don't like about the paints is if you add too much water, it kind of becomes a bubbling mess when you try and use it. Before COVID hit, my therapist office, there was a wonderful receptionist there who is absolutely in love with spiders. Like, her entire setup is just nothing but spiders. And I made her one miniature one of the times I went in, and last time it was still there on her desk, and I still wonder if it's there. But everything is done through video chat now, so I don't get to go see. And one thing I have found out the hard way is even when you think that you got all of the little plastic bits that could be gotten off, you will see them as you're painting. Getting the back of the knees is turning out to be a little bit of a challenge. Sometimes it helps to kind of squint and wink, considering not all the time are both your eyes going to help at the same time. God, there's a piece of plastic right there that I could have gotten. Grumble, grumble, grumble. I do like having the... Runaway spider! I do like the adamant being lighter. This thing is just going to keep running off. I got it painted and it came to life. Whoa. That could be a premise for a horror movie. Okay, I think we got the base going. Gotta clean the brush now. And once your paints start getting kind of sticky on your brush, then it takes a little bit more to clean the brush. Okay. Now we are ready for the black to start going in. And sometimes I just hold up my paintbrushes to the miniature to see what I'm actually wanting to work with for size. Considering I don't want to use something too big for something that a fine brush should be used for. So I'm actually going to be using the fine brush. This is the black I'm going to be using. It's kind of a metallic black, so these are going to be very shiny spiders. Because I might be a little obsessed with shiny things, possibly. And like, this black in general is pretty gummy, so I'm going to have to add water to it right away. Just gonna take me a little moment to get enough of it back to life. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the side first. Like, I do want a decent amount still. Getting off all the extra. I just realized I had a giant glob that was gonna get everywhere. I want the top area to still have a ton of that green, considering it's just a beautiful green. And when I do the black on the legs, I likely will use the other brush to kind of get a better coverage. And one thing I love doing about doing kind of creatures that do exist in nature is nothing's ever perfect in nature. Like, it can look really beautiful, but part of its beauty is not being perfect. Considering nothing is ever perfect. And that's okay. Like, I'm not wanting terrible too much black on the face. I do want to have a little bit of symmetry though. Now I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to be doing the body before I'm going to branch out on the legs for the black. Actually, I'm probably going to keep the small brush for even doing out the legs. Actually, I probably will go ahead and do a big brush, just to make sure I get better coverage for quicker. But I am going to do I'm going to come on the back of his thing here. Hit the camera. That's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to hit the camera. I'm just going to come up the abdomen just a little bit. But not enough to fully overtake the light green. So it's just kind of giving it a little bit more depth. I might split this up into 3 videos, so this is probably going to be the first one. If you're wondering, no, I don't pre-record these. I record them while I'm doing them, and then I post after I'm done. I might go back to doing live. I'm not entirely sure. But I am not an uber, techno whiz, so I don't have a video editor yet. honestly like doing it this way. So I am going to be leaving the knees open. Need to add more paint to my tray. Considering I didn't put a lot of black down, and with how thick it is, it definitely needs the water to keep it alive. I'm not sure how I feel about the miniature being able to sit like that. It definitely looks like it's ready to attack. I will be going back through on the knees, adding just a little bit more of a light color on top of them to kind of get them just a little extra oomph. I'm dotting a little bit of really dry, mostly like when the paint's gotten so gooey that it's kind of sticking to the brush and doesn't put out a lot of pigment. I actually like using that to kind of brush on the green. That way there's a little bit of black that goes into it. Considering nature isn't perfect and you're not going to have perfect transitions. There's always going to be imperfections. I think the next one I do, I'm not going to make as shiny. I like shiny and all, but this is kind of looking a little almost holographic. If anyone remembers the old style Pokemon cards that were holographic and all that fun jazz. Not sure if they still do that shit. I'm sure they do. I remember when I was living out in DC, I saw this really beautiful blue and yellow spider, and I thought it was one of the coolest spiders I'd ever seen. And like everything in my body was like, don't mess with it, considering it was so bright. Yeah, and I decided to take a picture and figure out what it was, and it turns out there's different colors of widows. And that was one of the widows, and I was just like, well, that's lovely. I should probably do research into the spiders of a place before I start admiring them. But to be fair, that was one of the first spiders I think I've ever actually admired. I've grown up in a desert, so they're typically either brown or black. We don't get a lot of overly colorful things. Okay, it's starting to look like it can run off on me now. Things that'll stay in my mind while I sleep. My own art. Ha 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 ha. I'm going to have to put this in a case to sleep at night. That's the end of the story. Like, I do not want to wake up to that on my pillow. That would be a nightmare. Now I'm definitely gonna have to hide it from my partner, considering I have a gut feeling, like, yeah, gonna have to hide it. Gonna have to hide it. Ay. Putting a little bit more of the black pendant underneath, pigment, not pendant. Spider's getting jewels, everybody. Just to kind of enforce the not so definedness that is life. Like, I barely have any pigment on it right now, so it really is kind of like a dry rub, where you're just going to get the very minimal pigment transfer. Okay, so we've got the basic patterning pretty much done. Let me bring him up here. So he definitely, I really like how the black kind of takes a copper tone. I am going to do a little bit more with the knees, and then I'm going to give him some bright red eyes before doing the wash and then the dry rub for that. So what I'm going to cap the knees with, yes, I'm going to cap its knees, is going to be this. It's really just an overcoat. There isn't a lot of pigment actually in it. It's a very light color, so let me get it on. Now I'm going to show my paint try, but no judgments. So this right here is the color. It does not have any actual like amounts of super pigment. It really is just kind of a light green, glitter. So I'm just going to come in and gently kiss it on the knees. It is not something I want a terrible amount of it on. It kind of flushes out the green color a little bit more compared to the black, so it gets a more defined brightness. When I first got those type of paints, I thought I could do it like as a solo color, and I ended up having to put down like 20 coats of paint just to make it a solid color. And after that, I decided I was just going to use them on top of a color that's close to theirs. And that has worked really well. I'm only doing the tops of the knees. That's typically where the most color goes. And then I'm not going to do a full section on the body, like the top part. I'm just gonna get the highest point with this. And just to give it a little bit of a, I don't know, I like giving a little bit more dimension with just hints of colors. Like, I'm not going to do a solid layer of it on the abdomen. I'm strictly just dabbing in a few spots. So there he is. Let me actually put him back on the hand. So I'm just waiting for the paint to dry a little bit more, and then I'm going to add a wash to him, which a wash is really good for getting in between the different plastic dimensions. So it'll actually bring out a lot of the different, I can talk, really, I can, small details in the plastic. And I actually think I might do the blue. I'm kind of torn between doing an earth brown or the blue. I think I'm going to try the Nightshade. So this is what I'll be using. On my tower thing, it actually looks like it's blue, so fingers crossed it is. Ooh, this one's not open. Let me get the open one. I do have a bigger one that was open. I always try and use my open stuff first. Ooh, this one's kind of thick. That's what she said. Dun-dun. So I just added a little bit of water to the wash, which isn't something I'm used to needing to do. And we're just going to come in and we're going to dab it really quick. And like, it doesn't need it so much in the legs as it does in the actual body and abdomen. Oh yeah, I really like how that hit it. Like doing a little bit on the legs, it's not even showing, so I'm not gonna do too much on the legs if it's not even gonna show up. I should probably keep that down. And I don't see a lot of need to do a dry rub on it. So I'm actually going to call this cutie done. And I will have pictures set up and probably put on my Twitter account, which underneath the description, you are welcome to follow me on Twitter. So this is the green one, all set and done. It is still freaking me out that it occasionally stands on its own. And I think I'm going to go ahead and get started on one of the others. So I'm going to put him off to the side. I think I'm going to do a red one next. We're going to do that with this. So for the red, I'm actually probably going to hit a lot of pink notes at the same time. Mostly because it's going to be a little interesting. Actually, I can get some orange and do it that way. Oh, I can think. So I'm going to do a lava orange to mix in to do the lighter parts instead of white. So we're going to have the ruby red and lava orange for the red parts. Okay, I'm seriously gonna have to put the finished spider somewhere else, considering I just saw it out of the corner of my eye and I freaked. This is what happens when you're scared of spiders and you start painting spiders and you put them in weird places. They scare you. Okay, I do not need that brush for it. We're going to kind of follow the same pattern as the first one. Okay, I'm actually just going to put him in the corner. I straight up just need him in, I need him in sight. Every time I look around and he's not in sight, I'm just like, I ran away. Weird things that Fox is scared of. We'll just leave it to that. Like, I knew I said I was gonna do eyes on the other guy, but I don't know, it worked really well without, and I'm still terrified of it, so I say it's a win. I say it is a solid win for how it was supposed to come out. So I'm not doing too terrible much of the mixing just yet. I wanted to get a decent red down first. So it's going to kind of start dark at the base and then lighten as I get out. And it is going to have the same shiny black as the other one. always feel like I'm abusing my paintbrushes when I have to get to certain areas. Because then I just kind of cram them in until I get the pigment where I need it. Okay. Now I'm going for more of the bright orange for back here. I did water it down quite a bit to be able to kind of stretch it and move it around a little bit. This admin probably isn't going to get too much black. The black is probably going to stay on the legs and the actual center area. Not entirely sure what it's called. I guess it'd be the thorax. But like sometimes I'll do reference pictures for coloring. These guys, I just kind of did a very broad Google search of spiders and kind of found some colorings I found really interesting. And just kind of putting my own little twist on them. Considering I'm like 100% sure spiders aren't this shiny. If anybody wants to show me a bunch of spiders that are shiny, I'm not entirely sure how I'll feel about it. Considering I'd be, one, very fascinated, and at the same time, I don't want to be seeing nothing but spiders for like months. I love how I just did that leg and then I decided to touch it. Because sometimes I forget what I was just doing. And anytime I do a base, I try and make sure I get all of the plastic bits. Because that's not what you want to be seeing. Aye! Okay, I really like how that red turned out. So we have the base red for Onyx Spada. I think I'm going to use a different black than the last one I did, so give me just a second while I reach up and grab that. Of course I grab one that's completely clogged, because that's what I do. So when you unclog things, you might end up with bubbles. I don't know, for some reason that makes me happy and concerned all at the same time. And then the bitch is still clogged. I'm gonna get all the warnings on this video. You can't be saying that. No joke. My workspace is trying to run away. I might have to give up on this black. It's gonna make me a little sad. This is the other reason you wear gloves. Alright, I'm just gonna use it out of the pot then, considering it's not wanting to give me what I want. Okay. We're gonna be similar to how we were with the first one. We're trying to kind of keep a decent amount of that red in view. And I already mucked up one of the knees. It's alright, nature isn't perfect, neither do I. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm gonna continuously scream that at myself, that way I believe it. Actually gonna be trying something different with the underside. I really like how the red came out on the center of that. So I'm probably just gonna do like when I do the rub, I might do a black rub to kind of take in the, it honestly looks like spider abs. He looks like he has spider abs. I'm not sure if it'll translate in there, but he looks like he has spider abs, so that's gonna be the thing for the rest of this is spider abs. Spider abs. I always have the hardest time getting the sides. I feel like I can lower that a little bit more. There we go. didn't make a successful break from it. Kind of makes me think of the red-kneed tarantula and their colorings, because they got their name for how they look. Okay, so I am actually going to leave this one without the black coming up the abdomen. I'm going to let the wash take care of that. Now I'm going to put some life-altering water into my black really quick, that way I can maybe salvage it. Fingers crossed. Wish me luck. Of course, it's still going to go into timeout, which is probably going to make it dry up again, but I can wish, I can dream. I just put the water top on the black top. I don't need water. Okay. But I do need to get, so as I said, the turbo colors are mostly for just kind of bringing out color more than actually laying me down. So we're going to add a little bit of the yellow to really make the oranges and everything pop. And these paints are so eager to give me so much more than I need. Like, even a drop would basically completely cover this. So, it's a little giving. Just a little. And I'm going to kind of highlight on the back. Again, this one I'm not going to make the full like pass a color. I'm just kind of dabbing and adding just to kind of give it a little extra depth. Get in here on these spider abs. Someone call Spider-Man. I found his ab buddy. Okay. For the wash, I'm going to use the Earthshade. After it dries just a second, I'm going to take this moment to take a drink of water. Pay needs water, I need water. And then after this, we'll do the blue one. So I'm not going to break it up into multiple videos. It's just going to be one really long one. At least for the spiders. I'm probably not going to do the bases. I say that, but stay tuned, who knows? The randomness that is me. Since we know that it doesn't really do much to the legs, I'm going to be sticking to its abdomen and its little spider abs. So it just kind of goes in. It really just brings out the different dimensions of the plastic. Sometimes it does take away from like the shiny stuff, which does kind of make me sad because I do like my shiny stuff, but it's also important not to get too attached to shiny and sacrifice the smaller details that can be had. And there we go. And just like the green one, I don't see a lot of reason to do a dry rub. So I'm going to do a side by side of these two. They definitely look like if they run off, it would definitely be something to be screaming about. Let's get the blue one done now. I like this one because it's a little bit more stretched out in the front. I don't know why, but that makes me smile more than the other ones does. So, I'm going to be mixing this with the white, considering I really, really like the bright blues. So I'm probably going to stick with the sparkling blue and the ivory white, or pearl white, my apologies. That we did the pearl white on the green spider. So this is basically going to be another, kind of like the gray spider. Come on, webcam, work with me here. Work with me. Okay, the webcam's having a day. Come on, what happened? Okay, it's all fuzzy and I don't know why. Welcome to the channel. There we go. There's like 15 different settings to this webcam. I love it. There's just a lot of settings to it. Like, I was thinking about doing the deep blue with it, but I think I'm going to stick to really bright metallic for it. As I dip my finger into one of the paints by accident. That was beautiful. Lots of reasons not to do this without gloves. You will end up multicolored. I'm actually going to start at the base here. I really like how this is coming out. It's like a bluish silver, and I think this might be my favorite one. I think he just stole the favorite title out of the three. I might not even do a black for the darker part. I might just do the darker blue without the white mixed to it. Spider abs, spider abs. They do whatever spider abs do. I seriously think I found a way to make an accidental silver. Like, I'm okay with it, but I was not expecting it. Actually having to add a lot of water to this. The blue and I keep wanting to say ivory, and it definitely isn't ivory. Pearl are kind of trying to dry really quick. I just completely put my finger on the camera. Sorry. I think I'm going to give this the same wash I did the green one, of that really pretty blue. This almost makes me think of, this is gonna sound horrible, but I watch American Dad every once in a while, and this kind of makes me think of when Roger the Alien had his glass spider collection that he let Avery's adopted son play with, and it went about as good as you would expect. But just the the thinness and fragility of the legs is making me think of that. I just realized he is probably blending in really well with my towel. Okay, we have the base down. Woot woot! I feel like I'm approaching it like you would a real one. Just, I'm gonna scoop you from underneath and don't bite me. Just, this isn't going to bite me. I hope. If it like comes to life Toy Story style, I don't know. It'll be recorded. I don't even know where I was going with that. I feel like I've just made a Cowboys fan's spider here. Like, that's kind of the colors I'm kind of getting out of this. Kind of doing what I did with the last one and kind of preserving the spider abs. I don't know, now that I've called them spider abs, I'm just really enjoying calling them that. Who knows, maybe it'll catch on. And that meow you're hearing is Merlin. He is not quite used to me doing this sort of thing. And if you want to see his cuteness, I do have a few videos of him playing fetch and spending times with birds. Ah! Spider down! Spider down! This blue is trying to get sticky really quick. feel like I need to put a note on this bottle for when I come back to this color that I know I'm going to have to add a ton of water to it. It's starting to float out good. It's a beautiful color. But good grief, does it want to dry quick. Ah! Doing a little bit of the deep blue into the underside of the abdomen. Just to give it a little bit more depth. Ah! As everybody bounces around. Okay, unattach. I never thought I'd have to tell two plastic spiders to stop fighting. Okay, so Cool Ranch is the one that I'm thinking about using. In just a second, I might have a lighter one that I want to do. Because I want to bring a little bit more brightness to this. So this is going to be the one I'm going to use. It's a really bright. That cap looks yellow in this, but it is actually white. But it's a really pretty one. We're just going to touch on the knees. It's like giving very delicate knee surgery. Please, no surgeons be mad at me in the comments. I know it is nothing like it. Gonna give that just a second, that way I can actually touch it and turn it and stuff without getting it all mucked up. Okay, I think I can stay on the legs. This one I'm going to be a little bit more completed with the abdomen this time. Considering it has been a very dark silver blue that I kind of want to lighten just a little bit. Spider abs, does whatever spider abs do. I turned my phone on vibrate to try and be avoided from being distracted and sitting over there buzzing. I gotta find out later if that can be heard. Okay. I really like how it's looking. We're about to do the wash on it, which will be the last step for these 3 little spiders. I'm really glad I didn't split this up into 3 videos. I hope you are as well. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. And we're going to go with the Nightshade again, which is that really pretty blue that we did. Will you let go of your friend? What that we did on this one. And if any of these came to life right now, I would freaking scream like a 2-year-old, because that would terrify the crap out of me. I know, I'm making plans for things that'll never ever happen, but it's fun to think about. I might have picked up too much. There we go. I think I overestimated how long it would take me to do these. 2 hours is not bad. Alright. I'm not gonna do the bases and stuff. I actually really like these guys standing on their own more than what they would look like on a base. So I'm going to leave them as they are. I'm going to pick them up really quick, put them off to the side. That way I can get an actual clean surface to show them on. So here they are. All finished. I definitely think the blue one is still my favorite. Like, the blue and silver looks really nice. Ah! Lost one! I tried really hard to keep them all together. There we go. And that is the cute little spiders! Again, thank you so much for being here. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button, and stay tuned for more painting and ESO housing stuff. Take care!